Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Caribbean Talks. Thank you to all those who would have joined us for our first 3 episodes. Our 10-part online show encourages dialogue and highlights many issues that are of great interest to us here in the Caribbean. We're going to be talking about music, lifestyle, health, fashion, and other conversations that share in the uniqueness and interests of what it means to live and be in the Caribbean. I am your host, once again, Avenel Romeo Williams. And today we will be doing episode 4, Caribbean Festivals in 2023. We have a great lineup for you this evening. Jules Sobion, promoter, commander-in-chief, Caesar's Army, and our very own party enthusiast, Vanessa Boyce, who would let us know her own idea of a good time. Here at Caribbean Talks, we seek to highlight the interests of the Caribbean people by connecting with the diaspora and the world through conversations. Of course, at this time, allow me to acknowledge our sponsors, Caribbean Insights, an online platform that focuses on Caribbean lifestyle by providing information on current affairs, lifestyle, and political developments across the region. You can visit their website at www.mycaribbeaninsight.com. LRT Media and Business Solutions, empowering businesses and improving people's lives by providing transformative services to clients, primarily in the Global South. And also AD Romeo and Associates Consultancy, fostering sustainable development through innovative services worldwide. I am inviting you to join the live stream. Share it with your friends and networks all over the Caribbean regions. Follow us on the Caribbean Insights Facebook page, like, share, comment, and get involved. Viewers, you are encouraged to put your questions and comments in the live, and we will try to address them throughout the show. So, without further ado, we shall move on to our first speaker. Jules Sobion has become a key architect in revolutionizing the local and regional entertainment landscape. He is the founder, CEO, and commander-in-chief of Caesar's Army Limited, the event management and production company established in 2006, a global organization that produces some of the region's most sought-after events and experiences. His industry leadership comprises a myriad of roles, including creative director of the popular Rogue Mass Band, as well as founder and CEO of Caesar's Creative, a creative agency that embraces digital transformation to secure client success. Jules is also the head of Caesar, a Caribbean brand agency which builds, manages, and champions brands to drive them to the promised land of ultimate industry potential, as well as the company's theater production arm, Caesar Theater. Finally, he spearheads the Mass Movement Limited, which is solely dedicated to building a global movement that amplifies Trinidad and Tobago's carnival culture. Jules, what's up?
Blessings, Avenel. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us what's going on with you lately. The year is almost ended and 2023, is upon us. So I know you have a list of things happening, going on, movements. Tell us.
Yes, well, we have emerged back into the light after the darkness of the pandemic. We would have all understood that given the event industry, the pandemic really created a sort of damper on the industry itself. We had no events for practically 2 years. And 2023 brings an air of light and positivity. So yes, in terms of my company, Caesar's Army,
Yes.
we would have been planning our re-emergence into the calendar, 2023 calendar. I've actually proclaimed the year 2023 as the year of the Roman.
Ah,
Ideally, yeah, based on the company and based on re-emerging ourselves, we have titled this year 2023 as the year of the Roman because it's a new era of my company. We have
mhm.
shifted gears from what I would have considered an event production and an event management company, and we'll have now become a festival production festival company because we want to take it a step higher in respect to what we do in respect to the ENT Carnival is up and coming. So we are planning a number of events for TNT Carnival. It has been labeled the mother of all carnivals.
Ah,
We, we are hoping to start, translate into attendance and I guess the number of events and visitors, etc. So TNT Carnival is primary on our list, but at this point in time, I am planning the year 2023 in general in terms of not just Trinidad.
okay. I really hope those plans come to fruition.
Yes,
So from what is it from what you just said, there is a strong market for event tourism. We want our tickets sold, we want our venues packed, we want people clamoring, we want people talking about it. So
yes.
yeah, so can you comment on event tourism from your experiences that we need more
I
promoters, more events?
I think for me where I sit, there needs to be a mindset change. So there's one thing that, I mean, given my course and my experience in producing events, the title of a promoter was something I felt that I have matured out of because maybe back in the day, yes, a promoter is one who promotes fests and promotes parties. But what has happened with me in particular is that this is a form of employment for me. And ideally, it is a sustainable form of employment because what has
Yeah.
happened is that ideally, with a change in mindset and a change in, I guess, what I would consider this form of employment, I would have gone from trying to prove myself domestically and then seeing that I could have taken what I do best regionally because it was something that was built from Trinidad, built in Trinidad and Tobago, and it
Our
was able
culture.
to
Mm-hmm.
it was able to be exported. And lo and behold, I know given the diaspora influence, I was able to take this even further internationally, right? So for me, really being in this profession and seeing the transformation of when I first started, maybe as a promoter and maybe as a man who throws parties. I have now changed a mindset where I am an event specialist or I'm a festival producer. And what I
Yeah.
do is I manage or I produce festivals that can be taken to the world. So in essence, I have seen that I could have actually been highlighted as an exporter of the culture. Now, I'm not exporting everything that is Trinidad and Tobago's culture, but I am exporting a part of the culture that seems very globally wanted. So ideally for me, I do see a strong market for festivals and event tourism. One thing I would say though is that coming from Trinidad and Tobago and working a lot in the Caribbean, what we have um, here is ideally we have unique cultures. And really and truly, given what I believe I have exported, I can see the Caribbean as a whole exporting the uniqueness of their culture. I also believe that the Caribbean also has unique venues, right? Very uncharacteristic to what you would find in the US or Canada or elsewhere, Europe, etc. So I do believe that when you look at a market that is being built, yes, we have unique characteristics, but we also have a flourishing ecosystem that is very much dependent on the festival industry and event tourism industry.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You said a change in mindsets. Do you mean a change in mindset for policymakers or a change in mindset for the party, well, not the, I don't want to use the word promoter because as you said, we have evolved or you have evolved from, the title of a promoter, to one of, what, a party planner, events coordinator, so the mindset is for.
Yeah, the mindset has changed because if I do not take my profession seriously as it has revealed itself to me, then you tend to find that, especially in my growing up, this is my personal opinion, I could not tell the bank that I'm a party promoter or I threw parties for a profession, right? Ideally now, I think I have learned, given the experience of what I actually do, and even the understanding of the required expertise to produce a festival or even produce an event. It takes a lot of expertise and a strong skill set. In fact, a number of skill sets to actually be a successful event planner or a successful festival producer, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely,
ideally,
yes.
yeah, so ideally the mindset has really changed from me. And even when I speak to the next generation who look up to me in terms of my story and how did I become this person and how I have evolved from what I have been doing ever since I was 16 years to what I'm doing now, I try to give them that empowerment in respect to what I do and in respect to what they do in terms of their skill sets and their creative elements that will somehow, one day will be a profession of theirs. You need to take charge of your skill set and actually empower yourself and empower what you do so that when the world looks upon you, they can take you as a serious entrepreneur.
Absolutely, because I like how you mentioned the formal sectors, the bank, etc. I mean, yes, you love doing it, but you have to make it work for you. You have to make it sustainable for the things that you want to do with your life in the future, So in your bio, you registered a lot of companies and you not only stayed within the planning stage, you also decided to create. I mean, your theater production is creating content for an event, so it's, I mean, how important is that you align what you do with the formal sector, and in your experience, in your example, is to register companies and to expand, to fully engage with the space,
Yeah. I am in essence and in a very general sense, I am a storyteller. And even in the realm of events, what I can tell you is that I was most passionate about telling stories. So ideally for me, what would have been a very unique characteristic for me was that I loved themes and concepts, and I used to put it towards my events. So even if I'm planning, let's say Carnival 2023, you would find that I am trying to put forward stories, even based on my brand, but I put forward stories to be told. And I always have a diverse selection of events. So they're all different in their own different ways and concepts and offerings, etc. Right? So I'm a storyteller. And over the pandemic in particular, when events were basically non-existent, I used the opportunity to explore myself, right? And given the pandemic, only a few performance spaces were open, traditionally for the performing arts, theater, etc. And I found it in myself, just as I believe that the pandemic was that sort of period to explore oneself and and delve or immerse yourself into who you really are, I found within myself a love for representing what I deemed as carnival through theater. And I did it for 2 years. I did it for 2021 and 2022. And I believe that even when my events are now back on stream for 2023, it is definitely something that I would like to continue because it gives me another form of expression of our culture outside of what I am traditionally known for, which is events. So you can see in 2023 now, I've actually expanded myself in such a way in terms of the storytelling and in terms of expressing myself in a different light and another different way. And who knows if carnival theater, what it is that I'm now delving into, can be another form of the empire that is being built, given the creative. You know, one must not be in a silo and remain there. I think that once you get an understanding of your true foundation, it can blossom in many ways.
Yeah, definitely. And this empire that you have chosen to put all under the label of Julius Caesar, that Roman general. Why him? Why him? Is it because he's a conqueror? Why him?
This is a good question because a lot of people ask me this question, but the truth is, right, there are two things that needs to be noted. When I first started out doing these parties and stuff like that, throwing parties, right? And my first company's, well, my main company's name was Julius Caesar, right? And I had so much ambition for these events. Like I really wanted it to be grand. I wanted it to be of a great magnitude, right? And given what I was calling myself, I realized that I can't do this alone. And the name of my company kind of highlights individuality now. It doesn't give like a sort of what should I say, name that there's a whole team behind event production. And that's essentially what it needed. It needed a team. So I really started to evolve when Julius Caesar became Caesar's army, right? And that's where I was able to install fellow generals and lieutenants and sergeants and etc. Given the wide the number of roles that are in event or festival production, right? So that's one thing. But taking it further back, the name Julius Caesar really came from my most favorite subject in secondary school, which was English literature. We had to read a lot of Shakespeare, and the tragedy of Julius Caesar always stuck by me. And one thing is to notice is that Julius Caesar in my head was never based on the emperor and royalty and treat me like a king. It was always based on Julius Caesar being a general, a strategist, and one who had a loyal and faithful army that helped him to build an empire. And that really is the genesis of Julius Caesar and Caesar's army.
Well, I can say that like the strategy of the Roman general and the type of man he is, it is because of those attributes why he was able to generate such a loyal following. And that is what I see in you when I read your bio, you know, for this show. I want us to talk about you. You said during the COVID, you really took time to plan and, you know, to develop your ideas and to see where you were going to go next, right? And then I saw that you created Caesar Creative, which is a creative agency that embraces digital transformation. So was Caesar Creative a brainchild of this incubation period during the COVID?
Yes, it was. So when the pandemic hit us, the entire team sat together trying to assess the damage, assess the pandemic, and to strategize the best way forward. And what was funny is that I honestly believe this is where team always comes as a very much of a highlight for me in my whole career. It was based on our team that we decided that, okay, events in the physical sense were not happening anymore. Well, were not happening, right? And the team, spearheaded by a couple of, well, I want to say that what is another funny fact is that our team is primarily women, right? So even though we say we are Romans, we are really womans when it comes to Caesar's. But the woman in particular, made it very clear that if we can't have events in the physical sense, let us explore events or an event space in the virtual sense. And that's where we invested in a virtual reality platform. We have a island that we created called Antillia, very Caribbean-esque, if you understand, where the Greater Antilles and the Lesser Antilles come together as one based on virtual reality. And we started that. We started that during the pandemic. And it was actually very good for me, almost like the theater. It's almost like you started something or you started to explore yourself during the pandemic. And when you realize that the pandemic is over, and well, not necessarily fully over, but when the pandemic is seemingly lessening itself, you can still carry on elements of your company or your brand or yourself as you move forward. So even in my strategic plan for 2023, which would have highlighted that Caesar's Army is now a festival production agency, a festival production company, the VR platform that we also created during the pandemic is part and parcel of the year one objectives of the strategic plan. So it's not a either or scenario. When I think of the pandemic, I actually believe the pandemic is a both and more scenario that was created where you were able to explore yourself and you can still carry on with your core business as you move forward alongside the innovations and the expressions that you would have come to a realization to during the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. So I want to move on to the festivals specifically in the region, and there are many. I would have seen on the news a Caribbean opinion post where they posted their top 10, festivals to see in 2023 coming. So on the list, there were more carnivals than so about 5 were carnivals and the rest were jazzes and other little events. So are carnivals, in your opinion, are carnivals in the region the most sought after events here? Well, for tourists and us alike?
I believe so. I believe that the carnivals are most after. I mean, when you really look at it, there's a carnival calendar, right? And it's highly populated by Caribbean carnivals. What I would definitely say though is that if Trinidad and Tobago has been highlighted as a top 10 a top 10 festival to attend, I also believe now is the time that we look to create more offerings outside of the carnival aspect of festival, if you catch what I'm saying.
Diversify, yes.
We need to diversify our offerings. And when we look at the culture or the cultures of the Caribbean, or even just Trinidad and Tobago alone, we can understand that we have true potential of developing new festivals that can bring foreigners, persons from around the globe on a yearly basis. So I think that's one of the things that really inspires me too. When it is that I, as part of my strategic plan for Caesar's Army and converting us to festival producers and festival managers, it's because we want to be able to start identifying new products and new offerings that can be created from the Caribbean, from Trinidad and Tobago, that can bring visitors on a year-round basis. Because we have the culture, we have the food and drink, we have a number of things that we can put forward to the world. So even with Tobago has Heritage Festival, they have Blue Food Festival. They can have a goat race festival, and it's the same thing for Trinidad. You know, we need to look at what we have, what is right in front of us, and use it in a global thinking and take it to the world. And I feel like, you know, Caesar's Army is very focused on that, because let's just say, I would like to start developing more festivals under the Caesar's Army banner, so that they can become more recognized as, you know, made from Trinidad and Tobago.
What about the private-public partnerships? You tend to hear that phrase a lot with like works in terms of like building, you know, the construction industry and you know that sort of thing. What about public-private partnerships with events management? You know, you have the idea. Let's take, for example, goat race to the global stage, pitching an idea to for goat race, the Tobago House of Assembly, you know, public-private partnerships, develop that proposal and see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I do believe in public and private partnerships. I do think it's necessary. As a festival production company, you can definitely see me doing that a lot more, or pitching a lot more products that can be considered in that regard. And it has happened. It is happening. So take, for example, for Tobago's Carnival, right? Let's just say it was the inaugural Carnival. They're trying to create a unique Tobago Carnival, but at the same point in time, they may have needed certain areas of expertise covered by persons or entities who may be familiar with certain things. So like take, for example, the road management. Caesar's Army would have assisted Tobago's Carnival with their 3 moving events, given the fact that we do a lot of moving or road management ourselves for our events. We were able to have a partnership with Tobago Carnival to manage their roads of their Juve and their night mass and the parade. So I see partnerships being very key. I would love to explore more possibilities when it comes to that. But when you really want to take what you do best to the world, partnerships are always necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. So someone on Facebook has a question. You spoke about we are exporting our culture because people are very interested in our culture. So in that regard, someone is asking if, in your opinion, do you really think that we have looked deeply into ourselves as Caribbean people when it comes to festivals?
Maybe we have, but we need to dig deeper.
There is always more. Culture is, I mean, to me, I think, I mean, don't you think that culture is something that is ever going? You know, it is innovative. It is never static. You know, it is dynamic. You know, there's always room to use the things of the old with what is new and present. You know, so yeah, I really think
that,
so.
and I also do believe there's a strong correlation to our Caribbeanness and what we can highlight and showcase to even Mother Africa or Mother India, even from a Trinidad and Tobago's perspective. Those are large continents. They have large following, very great demographic, etc. When is soca going to be a big hit in Africa? You know, just like Afrobeat has had its impact over here. So I do believe, like, yeah. So I do believe, like, and there's a similarity with the music. So if it is that we can create that bridge, we can create that sort of crossing of our cultures once again, where they can be thoroughly enjoyed and approved and endorsed, you know. So I think the sky's the limit. And I honestly believe the next generation of festival producers and digital media and videographers and graphic artists, etc., the performing arts, the theater, etc. I think that this next generation are going to push the bar, and they're going to explore their creativity in such a way now that it can no longer be ignored, right? Because if I am seeing it now, and now I'm seeing talent coming from the next generation, the sky's the limit in terms of what we can take to the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to have to leave it here this evening. I too am looking forward to see what the next generation is going to present, what is it that they're going to come up with, how it is that they're going to take this, take festivals by storm, it's really, really something to look forward to. So Jules, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. I mean, I learned a lot. I'm interested in the virtual carnival or the virtual festival experience. Is something that I have yet to, I know about it, but I have yet to personally experience it. And hearing you talk about it makes me want to experience it even more, right? So thank you again.
Never a problem. Have a great night.
Thank you, and you also.
Bye.
Okay. Right, so let us move on to our second speaker. For those of you now joining us, you are tuned into Caribbean Talks, a Caribbean-based online show that highlights the topical issues we face within the region. Join the live, like, comment, and share. So our second speaker is Miss Vanessa Boyce. Vanessa is an event coordinator, a party promoter, a carnival enthusiast, a world traveler, and an event seeker. This combination of roles has led her to visit 31 countries, experiencing 5 carnivals, and many regional and international festivals, concerts, and cultural events. During the recently concluded Tobago Carnival, Vanessa and her team executed the event #Docket under the Shore Vibe banner, which also had a section in the Caribbean-based mass band Zane Carnival. When Vanessa isn't traveling, planning, and attending events, she spends her time researching, as she is currently pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy and Governance at the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies, University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. Hi, Vanessa, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Avenel. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. So you seem like a jack of all trades, the academics and then the party side. How do you manage?
Well, I believe you must always have a balance in your life. You can't just be working, you must have fun as well. So I really believe in balancing your life, having that work-life balance and really experiencing all that life has to offer. I think after the pandemic, we realized how short life is, how we lost 2 years of interacting with one another, 2 years of attending events, attending festivals. So sometimes you want to focus so much on your work, but you don't get time to have fun. But I think that those last 2 years showed us that we need to enjoy everything that life has to offer and take advantage of everything life has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. So are there any events that have captured your interest lately? What have been on your mind? Have you seen a lot of posts on a certain event in a certain country?
Well, I mean, my list of events are always all over the world. As you see, I've traveled a lot, but I'll try to focus on the Caribbean here. Well, as you know, Trinidad and Tobago Carnival is coming up. So of course so that is the next thing. I am looking forward to it. I've seen all the events they've been posting since some months now. So even like coming out of Tobago Carnival, which as my bio said, I was very much involved in, I am really primed and ready to experience Trinidad Carnival. During Tobago Carnival, I was attending a lot of cooler events and boat rides, but for Trinidad Carnival,
I saw you. Yes, you and your crew, yes.
Yes, but what I'm looking forward to for Trinidad, I'm saying Trinidad and Tobago Carnival, but of course lots of the events are focused in Trinidad. And for those events, I'm really looking forward to the all-inclusive events. I think because I didn't attend a lot of all-inclusive events for Tobago Carnival, so I'm really looking to getting back into those kind of events. You know, when you go to all-inclusive events, they're usually themed. You get dressed in a specific way depending on the theme of the event. And, you know, there's the food and drinks, but there's also the entertainment and different activities that are included. And also, as I'm new into the event promotion space, I think is also an excellent opportunity to network. So events like that, and even general other events during the carnival, I'd really like to use as an opportunity to network. So I'm really looking forward to Trinidad Carnival. I think after that, I also want to look at other things, just like when in your discussion with Jules, you're talking about the other festivals that the Caribbean has. So I would really like to attend a food festival next year. And I saw one that caught my eye. I've never been to the Virgin Islands, so I see there's a St. Croix food and wine experience in April, and I love wine and I love food. So it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. Next year, I'd also like to attend another carnival, another Caribbean island, because I have been to the West Indian Day Parade in New York. I have been to Miami Carnival. I've also got a little experience of Brazil Carnival when I was in Sao Paulo. So I want to experience another Caribbean carnival. So I'm looking at probably St. Lucia or Grenada or both. So I'll see how both of them go. And then after that, it's to get ready for Tobago Carnival, because that time will come around very quickly.
Vanessa, your schedule is packed. How do you do it? Your schedule is packed. So in your opinion, right, what is a good time, you know, or a good fete, as we say, you know, in your opinion? Is it the event itself? Is it the company? Is it the food and drinks? What is it?
I think a good fete or a good event, a good party is one where that is able to portray that unique vibe and energy. So as somebody who promotes events, I know that when you're doing an event, you will have in your mind what you want to portray, what you want your patrons to enjoy. And I think when you have that in your, whatever you have, the person conceptualizing this event has in their mind, if it's able to be portrayed, that's when it's a good time. So some people may have an event where they want persons to come and experience the food. Even in a carnival fete, you might have an all-inclusive where you want persons to really experience the food and experience the drinks. And it's more about that type of event. But then there are those where you just want your patrons to come and just be having a good time. Like, you have to see the energy. They have to be jumping around. They have to be dancing around all the time. And, you know, the entertainment is tied to that. And the DJs are tied to that. And so whatever that vibe that is supposed to be there, once I get that vibe, that's when I know it's a good event. So there are some events that I will go to that I know I expect it to be a jump and dance and prance kind of event. But then there are those that you want to really experience something unique. And once that's whatever is the concept is able to portray, that's what I believe is a good event.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Yes. So do you use any kind of, you know, when you're promoting any kind of digital space in your promotions? Is there any one or two that really works well for you over the years?
Okay, so when it comes to promoting events, I've realized that over the years that the social media platform that is really growing, and I think it's because of the demographic, is Instagram. There was a time when it was Facebook. Everything is still Facebook, but I've realized that people are drawing more to Instagram, because with Instagram, it's an easier layout to see photos and videos of what you're trying to portray, and also like past experience. So for example, if you go to a Facebook page, you would see a lot of articles, you might see a lot of writing and so on. But when you go to Instagram, you can get a snapshot of all the photos. So I can go along and I can see, okay, well, this event had a lot of people, this event had a lot of women compared to men, or what. Sometimes even if I am going to an event and I'm trying to figure out what to wear to this event, I will go and see the past photos, see what persons wore. I say, okay, this is a kind of chic event. Oh, all right, people dress in just shorts and top. Okay, I would wear that. So I think when it comes to platforms, of course, social media, as I said, but I've realized that in event space, Instagram has been growing. I've seen there's some promotional entities that have Instagram pages and not even Facebook pages, whereas there's some that has Facebook but not very active on Instagram. But again, it depends on the demographic. And recently, the younger demographic, when I say younger, anyway, between 18 and early 30s, they have gravitated more to Instagram. So that's where you go to get information. When it comes to getting information on parties, so for example, Trinidad Carnival is coming up. Well, you know, Ticket Federation is very good with giving information on all fets. So when you go to the Ticket Federation calendar on a website, you see what events, who is the promoter, you go, you find their Instagram pages, Facebook as well, but trust me, the Instagram is where it's at, I've realized. And when with the introduction of stories and so on, you get to see them throughout the planning process. You get to see them posting up when they're preparing for the events, the different trinkets that they may include in the events. All of that is posted there on their stories. For the recent Tobago Carnival, there was a page that was developed, Tobago Carnival Calendar, and they were very on the ball as well with promoting events as they came up. So as events popped up, they would put up the flyers. So sometimes you might not even find that particular they were on Instagram. You might not even find that particular Facebook or Instagram page that promoting that event, but the Tobago Carnival calendar will have up the event. So there is a mix, as I said, of information. Ticket Federation website, as I said, of course, that's very good for Trinidad Carnival, and then the Instagram. For the other carnivals in the world, a lot of their tourism pages, so where you get information on their events. So for example, when I was looking at the St. Croix Food and Wine Festival, I went to their tourism page and I saw some information on it. When it comes to carnivals around the region, you also go there. Even for us, our tourism pages have information. So I think when it comes on an international stage, a lot of people look at the websites. But for us right here, if you're looking for any festivals, or if you at least have your general information, you can just look at their social media page and you get information.
Vanessa, right? It sounds as if they lead up to the events that you are attending, not the event itself, but they lead up to, you know, the social media, the planning of outfits, who you're gonna go with is just as important.
Yes, and I get very excited here because it is. I remember, but of course, as I said, we just came out of a pandemic. So Tobago Carnival was my first carnival out of the pandemic. And I remember leading up to Tobago Carnival, I had my list of events that I was attending. I started to put together my outfits that I was going to wear because like there's so many different factors. All the events are new, so you're trying to figure out, okay, what kind of vibe this event will have. I didn't really have any past photos to look at for most of the events. So you have to think what kind of outfit you want to wear to this. And then because it's the carnival that is right on my island where I can basically go to any one of them, unlike, for example, if it's Trinidad, you have to go back and forth. If it's anywhere else in the Caribbean, you have to fly there and probably just spend a weekend. For Tobago, I had literally weeks of events that I could attend if I wanted to. So I had to like set out my outfits and figure out who's going to what event, get your tickets, figure out which party is this one going to, which party. It's actually, leading up to it, as I said, is as exciting as the event itself. It really, really is. And I really enjoy planning to attend these events as well.
Because I'm thinking that, you know, you could be mentally tired by the time the event comes around.
But no, that's just the culmination of it. So even for anyone who has even playing mass, you could wake up in the morning and decide to play, but you would not have the same experience as if you have planned out everything, getting your makeup done, getting your hair done, getting your nails, getting the specific stockings that you want to wear, making sure that you know where you're going to park your car, which is near to the rest stop, so that when you come to the rest stop, your car is right there. Wow. It's a whole process. It's a whole planning process.
Yeah. So do testimonials have any bearing on your choices? Or do you mostly go from, you know, you just go on social media, Instagram, and, you know, flip through and say, okay, this is like something I would go to. You know, what makes you decide, you know?
But yes, testimonials do play an important role, especially if, for example, you would have friends who attended events who would tell you, okay, this promoter is very organized, drinks did not run out, the food was really good. Then you might have the you might have some events that one year they may have a down year, and somebody might say, well, this year they went and the food ran out or whatever. And then you might talk to someone else who said, well, I've been there a few times, and I think it's because they changed caterers, and I think because I'm also in the event space, I'm also able to communicate with people who are either part of the planning or at least know the people who promote. So you get to hear their feedback as well as to what may have caused an event to probably not do this good this year, but it might be better the following year. And also you hear testimonials about, I guess, as I said, the overall vibe, the type of people who are in events, the type of people that they met. There's some events that have a lot of celebrities, so people might decide to go because of that. There's some events that every year you always have that energy. They never oversell tickets, so the place is never ram, and you're just able to enjoy yourself. So testimonials are very important. But as I said, sometimes you might get bad testimonials, but you just have to find out from somebody else if that is just a one-off or if it's something that is consistent. Because it is possible in planning an event that one year things may not go as planned, but the following year it might be really, really good. So you have to really weigh your options and weigh even your testimonials that you receive.
But Vanessa, you're on both sides of the coin. You're a planning bit, and you're an attending. You come to have a good time, right? Is it because of your interest in festivals and attending festival caused you to just dabble in both, or you have always been dabbling in both?
So yes, so the first one, I love to go to events.
Right,
I love to be part of events. And when my love for events, I decided to do the event management course. So I got certified in event management and coordination. Because I said,
this is after luck.
Yes, at a lot.
I heard about that course.
Yes. So I was always attending events, and I was like, let me see. I find it something that's really interesting because you start to attend events and you start to see, okay, they use different suppliers for this, that, and the other. You start to see different things that they do and try to understand, okay, how this is really planned. Because I'm also somebody who likes to know how things work. So in attending events now, you want to know how they went about doing this, how they went about doing that, how the planning process was. So I got certified in event management, and as part of getting certified, you have to be in the field. So you had to do 100 hours of event coordination. So I had to start working in events. So knowing some persons who did events, I contacted them and started to work their events. So during that period, you do that for free. You don't get paid for it because you're working towards getting your certificate.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
So I worked for those events, and then after that, now after I got my certificate, they called me again to work with them. So I started being part of coordinating events for different event coordinating companies. Then a few years ago, I guess during the pandemic and so on, I was thinking, why, actually it was before the pandemic, started to do some small events under Show Vibe, which is an entity that was developed some years ago. So we started to do some events under that, just some small events. And then coming out of the pandemic with our first Tobago Carnival, we decided that we need to do an event for Tobago Carnival and need to be present in the Tobago Carnival space. So we did an event in June called Beached. So it was a beach event. And persons, we had like a shore vibe zone where persons you could bring a cooler and you got food included. And then we had a regular zone where persons could just come with their coolers on the beach and enjoy. Then we had Ducket for the Tobago Carnival on Carnival Friday. So it's basically a duck work event. And for both events, persons said that they really enjoyed it. We tried to live up to our name, Shore Vibe. So once you come to an event, you must have a good vibe. You must feel that vibe and that energy. So we always try to portray that. And because I was also involved in Carnival in Mass from before with Zane Carnival, I decided if I'm so much involved in Mass and I have an entity, why not have a section in a band? So this year we also had a section in a band, and it was so much fun. And I'm really looking forward to doing it again for Tobago Carnival next year. So I was able to be a part of going to events, planning an event, and being a part of a Mass band for this Tobago Carnival.
Is there a preference in the type of event, the type of festivals where you have ones that ask you to bring your own supplies, drinks, such, and then you have those that you come with your hands swinging, all inclusive, just show up looking good. Is there a preference, or like, or does it matter?
So I have this theory that you enjoy a party more when drinks are readily available. So drinks either readily available by your cooler or all inclusive. And yes, I always believe that those are the type of events that really have a different energy, because either you have your drinks right there that you are drinking and enjoying yourself, or it's all inclusive, so it's easy to go and get drinks. So I think my preference, now I like all inclusives, and I think this is because I'm not as young as I used to be. So what I like about all inclusives is that you don't have to worry. As I said, you can walk up, you can get your drink, and it's a different kind of vibe. There are some all inclusives where there are sections where people, you would swear it's like a big party, a regular big party. But with all inclusives now, as I said, you don't have to worry too much. You don't have to walk with anything extra. You don't have to walk with any extra cash. It's also a safety consideration, and that person's also to keep in mind when they're going to carnivals, because walking with money as well. If you're going to an all-inclusive, you don't have to walk with as much money as you would a regular event.
Yes.
So that's another pull for me for an all-inclusive. You literally just come with your tickets, and you can get your food, you can get your drinks, and enjoy yourself. But with a cooler event as well, you have exactly what you're drinking. Sometimes you go to an all-inclusive and they don't have what you want. Wow. With a cooler event, you have your drinks there, you have exactly what you want and everything. So I think that I may be leaning more onto the all-inclusive, as I said, because as I'm getting older, it's usually events that are earlier in the day and not very late, and not that much. You can have an area, not as much space. So I think that my preference would be all-inclusive for that particular reason. Yeah.
So the last event that you went to and you had a really good time, was it in the region or was it outside of the region?
I mean, I could be biased and say that our event docket was really, really good. I had a real good vibe. But actually, earlier this month for my birthday, I went to Curacao. And in Curacao, we didn't even plan on really like partying much. But at Curacao, there's a beach called Mambo Beach, where every weekend it's like non-stop partying for the entire weekend. So Curacao is a Dutch territory, so every weekend there are flights coming in from Netherlands, and there are these people like they just come off the plane and they just party all weekend and then go back to the Netherlands. So on this beach, it's a beach, there's the usual cabanas and so on the beach, usual beach bars, but then there's like a pool right by one of the bars that everybody's just partying at the pool during the day, having fun at the bar and so on. And then later on the night, as the sun goes down, they move to another bar on the beach that is sort of like with a thatched roof and so on, similar to like Basso and Pigeon Point. Think of that kind of vibe, right? So that's the beach that as the sun goes down, that's the bar that everybody goes to. And then at 12 midnight, that bar closes, and then there's a club on the beach that everybody goes to at midnight. So you literally go partying all day into the club. And in that particular area, there are lots of bars, there are lots of restaurants with all these different wonderful food, like any kind of food you want. There are a lot of restaurants there. So there are people who will come, you will have your lunch, you go party, you go have dinner, you will party again. And it's just like a non-stop. So it was just interesting to see that island vibe of partying on the beach and then going straight into clubbing. So I think that was a real interesting experience. It also showed me a lot of potential for even our own beach bars and so on here on the island, because I saw people just literally, they were DJs and they were just going whole day. And I'm thinking, how are these people doing that? But it was a really nice vibe. It was really interesting, as I said, to see that whole different dynamic. A few times I was there, I heard they played some soca music, so we were very excited. Once you hear soca music in a foreign country, you get excited. Once you hear Trinidad and Tobago music in another country. So I think that was my last, because it was the most recent. It was really fun.
Okay. So the whole vibe, and is there like a big difference between a party here in Trinidad and Tobago and a party, say, in another Caribbean island? Is there like a difference in feel or a difference in how the night unfolds? Is there a difference?
Yes, I think that there is a difference. It also depends on what the people come there for. So I can give you different examples. So for that Curacao example, they were foreigners partying, because on the beach there weren't that many locals. It was mainly foreigners who were partying. So of course, if you come from your cold country, because right now it's cold in the Netherlands, if you come cold country to a Caribbean island, you're going to be partying nonstop, all right? So you got that international feel as these foreigners, they're on a Caribbean island and they're enjoying themselves. I have been to St. Lucia Jazz, the Creole Jazz especially. And I remember when I went to that event, Creole Jazz is in the south of St. Lucia. And it's the jazz where their local artists perform, and also other Creole artists from like the other French Caribbean islands, because even though St. Lucia speaks English, it's sort of considered sort of French because they have their French Creole, and they're very close to Martinique and Guadeloupe, and also Dominica is very similar. So for the Creole Jazz, it's a lot of their local music, and it's an all-day festival. And I remember when I got there, it was late in the evening, and people were there all day, and they were just really enjoying their local music. At the end, I think Jackie performed, but it was mainly their music, and they were there to hear and to experience their local music because it was their jazz experience. I've been to shows in Jamaica as well. I remember going to a concert with Romain Vogo, and people were so drawn to their own artists. And I mean, Romain Vogo is not Jamaica's biggest artist, but they were so into the show. And any other concert I've gone to street parties in St. Lucia, Barbados, it's the same thing.
So what I'm your voice that we don't do that here.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is, I feel like when I go to these other islands, they are so passionate about their local music, and they own their local music. But that is the difference with here. Yes, we have, when it's Carnival, we love our soca music and so on. Outside of Carnival, literally as 12 midnight on Ash Wednesday, you start to hear other people's music on the radio. And you don't get that passion. So that is the difference, I would say, with partying in other countries to here, is like there is that passion for their own music. And I feel like outside of Carnival, I don't get that as much in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay. Well, if that is true, I mean, this is your opinion. I really hope that, we find a way to change it.
I think there were steps. I think recently there were steps to like continue to play soca music throughout the year, and they've been doing a good job. Radio stations have been doing it, but I still feel like there are still people in themselves, like when you hear them say, "I don't like soca music. Oh gosh, I can't wait for Carnival to finish so I don't hear soca again." There are people who say that. Yes, I've heard people say that, and I was like, "How could you say that? It's our music."
Yeah. So any time of the day, you listen to a song, your favorite artist, and you're revived all over again. But Vanessa, thank you so much. We're gonna have to leave it tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's really interesting to hear all the places that you have been, and your take on what a good fete is. Where you go to have a good time, the different experiences in the region. So thank you so much for that. Yes.
You're welcome.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So to end tonight's show, I would like to again thank our sponsors, Caribbean Insights, for the work that they have been doing to share topical information around the Caribbean. I would also like to thank LRT Media and Business Solutions for all of your media consulting and business support for this show, and also AD Romeo and Associates Consultancy, fostering sustainable development through innovative services worldwide. Thank you again to both our guest speakers, Vanessa and Jules. Do join us again next week, Thursday at 5 for episode 5 on Caribbean Insights, where we will be discussing growing your own food. Have a good night and see you next week.